Lauren Boebert has gone crawling back to the Biden administration, begging for tens of millions of dollars in resources to help with the infrastructure in her state, the great state of Colorado. Now, it's important to mention that she not only voted against Biden's infrastructure bill, she spoke out against it, referring to it as garbage and waste. But Boebert wants $33.1 million for the South Bridge in Glenwood Springs, according to a newsletter from her office. She also sent a letter to US Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, advocating construction of the Glenwood Springs Bridge. Now, the city is requesting grant funding through the Rural Surface Transportation Grant Program for the South Bridge project. This funding would allow the community to construct a new bridge connection to provide a critical second emergency route between State Highway 82 and the western side of the Roaring Fork River, which sounds fun, in the city's South Corridor. Okay, so I'm of two minds on this because remember, she voted against the infrastructure bill. She also tweeted things like, rhinos just passed this wasteful $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. Pelosi did not have the votes in her party to pass this garbage. Time to name names and hold those fake Republicans accountable. Okay, well then are you a rhino? Because you're now asking for infrastructure funding from the Biden administration when you previously referred to that funding as waste. But like, of course, I mean, she's not gonna be held accountable for any of this. That's just, it doesn't work that way. But Waz, I actually wanna ask you, what should the federal government do in this situation? Because if they deny her the funding, the people who suffer are her constituents, are the people of Colorado. I don't want them to suffer. I think it would be great for them to have a second emergency route in the area that's specified here. But at the same time, like, there should be political consequences for people like Lauren Boebert.
Yeah, it's like, it's almost as if she ran on the opposite of this, right? It's almost as if she's branded herself as no matter what policy comes out of this administration, if it has Democratic Party cooties on it, it's bad, it's terrible. Even if it's something that will help your constituents, it's stupid. However, I am of a mind that I thought Build Back Better was supposed to do this very thing, right? Like put Americans to work with good, well-paying union jobs, making the country better, investing in the betterment of the country. I thought that was the point of these quote unquote infrastructure legislations, right? Obviously they became convoluted and a lot of it became a lot of this corporate give back, give away, corporate welfare, quite frankly. Not that there's anything wrong with welfare, but
it is when corporations are collecting it.
Exactly, and but I'm just saying, like, this is the point I feel like of a federal government. And this is what they should be doing. But yeah, this woman's hypocrisy notwithstanding, I think this would be the right thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, I don't want the people of Colorado to suffer, even though they unfortunately elected someone like Lauren Boebert. And remember, Boebert also derided Biden's plan, saying only 6% of his $2.3 trillion so-called infrastructure plan goes to roads and bridges. I'm assuming she was specifically talking about the bill before it was decoupled, before the social spending was stripped away from it. The rest goes to climate change, it doesn't. Increasing government bureaucracy, barely, and unrelated liberal wish list items. Like, let's not get it twisted. Waz stated it correctly. The bipartisan infrastructure bill has some good provisions within it, okay? Our infrastructure is crumbling, it is a disaster. At the same time, it is a corporate handout bill. That is why there was bipartisan support for the bill. And one other thing I'll note is Lauren Boebert, I guess she's as stupid as I think she is, she actually got the political strategy right here. Because remember, one of the Republicans who actually voted in favor of the infrastructure bill was Fred Upton. And then he made the mistake of bragging about it because he thought that his constituents in Michigan would be super excited about how he secured resources for them. he got death threats instead because the Republican Party is the party of Trump. Trump demanded that Republican lawmakers tank any agenda item for the Biden administration. Upton and a handful of Republicans voted in favor of it. And so what do you think is gonna happen? So he should have played it the way Lauren Boebert played it, vote against it, rail against it. And then when push comes to shove and you need some resources, you need some funds, just ask for the funds. It's not like anyone in the Biden administration is gonna be like, no, you voted against it, we're giving you nothing. They're not gonna do that.
Yeah, they're not those kind of score settling people unless you're progressive within the party. Then, they'll close ranks and they'll start cracking a whip. So long as whoa, hold on now. You trying to be progressive? You want to be for the people? No, we got to rein you in. Other than that, everything else is kosher with this administration. And man, these guys started off with such a bang, Anna, and it's just become more and more pathetic by the month. I don't care if you are the most blue, no matter who, Democratic Party shill. You can't have watched this Biden administration and not think that this has been an abject failure. It's been totally awful.
I mean, I feel that in my soul as you say it, because I'm not one of those vote blue no matter who people. Look, I'm in California, so I have the luxury of voting the way that I want without suffering any consequences like electing a fascist, right? I did not vote for Biden, I wrote in Bernie. I also didn't advertise that on the show because it's my personal opinion and I don't wanna persuade anyone in a swing state to do something that could be reckless. With that said though, no, this administration is an embarrassment. And while they're constantly fear-mongering, rightly, by the way, rightly fear-mongering about the very real threat of the Republican Party dismantling what's left of our democratic process, they're not willing to do what's necessary to address how the hell it is that we've gotten to this point in America. Why are Americans so angry? Why are people so disillusioned with the Democratic Party? It used to be that the Democrats would at least stop the bleeding. But honestly, there have been moments during the Biden administration where I forget that Democrats are in charge, where I forget that Biden got elected, right? Where you hear about the Supreme Court essentially stripping us of various rights, including our reproductive rights. And it's like, oh damn, no, Democrats are so far gone and so corrupt at this point that they can't even stop the bleeding. And that's a huge problem.
And you've got to be reassured, Anna, when news comes out that Sleepy Joe, he was on the phone with Larry Summers, the guy who basically, along with Geithner, along with all of those clowns in Barry's financial sort of group of wise men, they orchestrated that recovery, which was for who? Nobody but Wall Street. But Biden was on the phone with Larry Summers, folks. So it's gonna be great. And Larry Summers said the people who need to feel this the worst, this inflation, are normal working people. Unemployment is too low, Larry Summers said.
Yeah, he said that. So that's a story that I'm gonna dig deep into tomorrow. I wanted to do that in my solo hour because I want to explain all of that. Yeah, he is saying that the solution to inflation is to increase unemployment.
Not for us to fix the supply chain issues that are causing this, these price hikes, not to directly spend on that and get those things rolling so that prices can get back in order. And not that we haven't done this already in the past. This austerity stuff, it doesn't work. But guess what? It's the path of least resistance for our richest, most powerful people. And so of course it's the path that Larry Summers is stumping for. And he's taking his little inflation victory lap, Anna, because he's like, well, I told you inflation was coming because these people got $3,000. And it's like, no, you were right about inflation coming, but it's not because people got $3,000 from the government.
Exactly. You can judge me if you want, but there was actually an excellent interview by Ezra Klein. He interviewed an economist on the inflation issue. I thought it was fantastic, mostly because of the guest he was interviewing. Please check that out because she did a fantastic job explaining how the Federal Reserve really single-handedly led to the inflation that we're experiencing in various assets, including housing, right? That's an asset that impacts all of us, whether we have the money to buy or not. Because if you don't have the money to buy, you're looking to rent. And if you have inflation in real estate, that ends up transferring over to rentals as well. It was a great interview, so check that out. Anyway, for now though, we're gonna take a brief break, and when we come back, we'll talk about how Elon Musk is being disowned by one of his family members. We'll tell you why. And later in the show, we will talk about a narco monkey. It's both tragic, but also one of the cutest pictures you'll ever see. Like, I just gotta keep it real, okay? Have you ever seen a monkey with a tiny, tiny bulletproof vest? Probably not, but you will today.